What if your worst boss didn't just ruin your career? What if he survived a plane crash with you? And what if the island you were stranded on finally gave you the power you were denied your entire life? This is Send Help, Sam Raimi's twisted survival thriller that blends horror, dark comedy, psychological warfare, and workplace revenge into one brutal, sun-soaked nightmare. Directed by the man behind The Evil Dead, Drag Me to Hell, and Spider-Man, this film isn't about monsters in the woods. It's about the monster you already worked for. Let's break it all down, from the first insult to the final, unforgettable power shift. We begin in the soul-crushing world of corporate America. Meet Linda Liddle, played by Rachel McAdams. She works in planning and strategy, the department that quietly keeps the company alive while never receiving credit. Linda is brilliant with numbers, obsessively prepared, and relentlessly hardworking. She's also awkward, socially clumsy, unfashionable. The kind of employee people talk over in meetings and forget to invite to happy hour. For 7 years, Linda has been promised a promotion, and then everything changes. The company's CEO dies suddenly, and his son, Bradley Preston, takes over. Bradley, played by Dylan O'Brien, is the walking embodiment of corporate entitlement. He's charming, smug, and catastrophically unqualified. A classic Nepo baby CEO who believes leadership means being loud and liked. One of his first acts as CEO, he denies Linda her promotion. Instead, he gives it to his golfing buddy Donovan, a man who's worked at the company for 6 months and barely understands what Linda does. To Bradley, Linda has no value. He openly tells her so. She's not sexy, she's not confident, she doesn't command a room. Behind her back, Bradley even plans to transfer her to a dead-end position. Linda finally confronts him, and Bradley throws her a bone, a chance to prove herself. He invites her on a business trip to Bangkok aboard his private jet alongside his rich, smirking inner circle. But this isn't an opportunity, it's exploitation. Linda will do all the work while the boys drink, golf, and congratulate themselves. And then, everything falls out of the sky. Mid-flight, the jet hits a vicious storm. In a spectacular Raimi-style disaster, the plane crashes into the ocean. Everyone dies. Everyone except 2 people, Linda Liddle and Bradley Preston. They wash ashore on a remote tropical island in the Gulf of Thailand. Bradley survives, but barely. His leg is badly injured. He can't walk, he can't hunt, he can't build. Linda saves his life. And even now, Bradley still tries to assert control. He reminds her he's the boss. He gives orders. He expects obedience. But something has changed. For the first time in her life, Linda doesn't need him. Because here's what Bradley doesn't know. Linda is a survivor superfan. For years, she studied survival manuals, foraging guides, shelter-building techniques, all in desperate hopes of being cast on the show. Her coworkers even mocked her audition tape. But on this island, Linda is prepared. She gathers food, she builds shelter, she makes fire, she treats Bradley's wound. Bradley, meanwhile, is completely useless, and the power dynamic begins to shift. Days pass. Linda thrives. Bradley deteriorates. He hates it. He needs Linda, but cannot stand that she's the one in control. He oscillates between belittling her and flirting with her, between gratitude and resentment, between fear and attraction. Linda, for the first time in her life, is seen. Bradley listens to her, depends on her, needs her approval, and Linda starts to enjoy it. A little too much. She jokes that maybe they shouldn't be rescued. She builds a home. She prepares meals. She creates routine. This begins to feel less like survival and more like a game where Linda is finally the boss. But Raimi refuses to make this a clean empowerment fantasy. Because Linda is changing, the island doesn't just free her, it mutates her. As Bradley heals, he starts planning. Escape, rafts, signals. Linda resists. The island gave her something she's never had before: control, respect, purpose. She starts sabotaging Bradley's plans, subtly at first. She withholds food. She manipulates information. She reminds him how helpless he is. Bradley pushes back. What follows is a psychological chess match. They share personal stories. They grow close. They almost fall for each other. But every moment of tenderness is poisoned by Tower. Bradley wants his old life back. Linda doesn't. The turning point comes during a brutal hunting sequence involving a wild boar, bloody, chaotic, and unmistakably Raimi. Linda kills it. Bradley watches her, covered in blood, smiling. And that's when he realizes he didn't survive the crash with Linda, he survived it with something else. Bradley attempts to escape alone. Linda stops him, violently. What follows is a full descent into madness: traps, manipulation, physical injury, psychological torture. Each uses the other's weaknesses. Bradley uses charm and cruelty. Linda uses intelligence and patience. The island becomes a battleground, and Raimi leans fully into his signature chaos: grotesque injuries, explosive violence, dark comedy dripping with bodily fluids. This is no longer about rescue, it's about dominance. And finally, the truth emerges. Both of them are monsters. One was just waiting for the right environment to bloom. Without spoiling every exact beat, the film builds to a devastating final reversal, one that forces the audience to confront who they've been rooting for. Linda wins, but at a cost. The island doesn't turn her back into who she was. It turns her into something sharper, colder, dangerous. And when rescue finally comes, the question isn't who survived, it's who deserves to. Send Help isn't just a survival movie. It's about toxic workplaces, power imbalance, gendered expectations, what happens when kindness is mistaken for weakness. Rachel McAdams delivers one of the most ferocious performances of her career: funny, unsettling, and deeply human. Dylan O'Brien makes Bradley horrifying, not because he's evil, but because he's familiar. And by the end, Send Help becomes exactly what its title implies: a warning. Be careful who you underestimate, because when the world ends, they might be the one holding the knife.